Hi everyone, good morning. It is such a pleasure to share this topic with all of you as emotional intelligence has become my passion and purpose. I will be sharing this webinar with Dr. Mariel Rubia, my colleague. Thank you very much. But before I start, I would really like to give reverence to our God, without whom I am nothing. By the way, I'd like to say hello to all global powers people. I've been to Iloilo. I've shared emotional intelligence there and also to Makati. Thank you very much for that opportunity. And I have to tell you that the journey has really given me so much to share with all of you. Probably in the first few years, Sherry was witness to that. We shared emotional intelligence, but the learnings and the reflection all throughout the year has really given us the depth that it needs. I'd like to share my screen with all of you. All right, so can everybody see the screen? Yes? Okay. So our topic for today is emotional and mental wellness during COVID-19 crisis. Truly, it is far from over, no, yung crisis, and it has placed us all in a very delicate situation where the only thing certain is uncertainty. I would like to resonate with what Attorney Amanda Bengson has said, that emotions are very valid, and most of us are in a very delicate situation in regards to our emotions and to our mental wellness. It is okay. We have to accept that. Because again, I will have to say the only thing that is certain now is uncertainty. Everyone is simply trying to do their best. So it is also good to say that yes, those emotions are valid. We may appear to be composed and stable, but because we are sort of in a threat situation, anytime that we feel threatened, we may react instead of respond. Okay, so once again, thank you for that, Miss Amanda Bengson. I'm going to, all right. One of the things that I would like to ask is, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? I would like you to share in our chat box how you are feeling. But before we go there, I'd like to say that there is a connection between our emotions and our minds, so that we can control them instead of our emotions and our thoughts control us. Our brain is something like this. It's like our fingers, if you can see. Now, this is the emotional brain and this is the rational brain. But because we are feeling threatened, right? Because of this situation, what happens is our brain doesn't have the connectivity. So it goes like that. So much so that probably our emotions or our negative thoughts can take over because they are not connected. So if we let our emotions and negative thoughts control us, then we may not be living the life that we want for ourselves in the present and the future. In other words, without us knowing, we may be sabotaging our way to our success and happiness. So we will give you certain methods that you can do on a daily basis, one of which is the power of the now. So for now, I would like to ask everyone to stay in the now, enjoy the moment. This is the most beautiful day that we're going to enjoy, and you are the most important person of the day today. Let's just focus on the now. So once again, I would like to ask, how are you feeling in general? Now, there are four basic emotions. And the four basic emotions, as you can see on my screen, are mad, sad, glad, apologies, added surprise, and disgust. But for our purposes, we're going to stay with the four basic emotions: mad, sad, glad, and scared. I would like you to put in the chat box which of the four are you feeling. Isa lang. Just choose one, which is the one that you're feeling in general, being in ECQ and because of the COVID-19. Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you glad? Are you scared? So I'm giving you a few minutes. Please write in the chat box, what are you feeling generally? Miss Reggie, Miss Anne, if you could share the answers and you can collate them And Miss Reggie, I would like to hand over the audio to you so that you can tell us what is the pervading emotion. Again, mamili lang kayo isa. Galit ba kayo? Malungkot ba kayo? Happy ba kayo? Or are you scared? What is the pervading emotion that you have? Again, I'll give you a few minutes to answer. So I will be quiet for a while. So Miss Reggie, are you in? Miss Reggie? Hello?
I'm in trying to cope up with the answers.
Uh, all right. We cannot actually hear you very well if it's okay to.
Ruby,
There.
I'm here. I'm trying to cope up with the answers. There are so many answers right now. It seems like
Okay.
majority I will say later. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So in the meantime, we would like to wait for the answer so we will know the pervading emotion from the participants. Again, emotions are valid. It's okay to feel mad at the moment. It's okay to feel sad at the moment. It's okay also if you feel glad at the moment or scared. You see, emotions are valid, but what we do and what we decide on because of how we are feeling, that is emotional intelligence. You see, emotional intelligence is actually being smart with negative emotions. How we react with the emotions could be valid or not, but emotions are valid. So it's once again, it's okay to feel mad or to feel sad, to feel glad or to feel scared at the moment. So let me know, Miss Reggie, if we have a general consensus of what is the pervading emotion.
All right. So far we have a majority
Mhm.
answers of glad. There are also those who answered scared and sad,
Okay.
and
All right.
blend of sad and glad, a blend of glad and scared. But majority, it
Wow.
seems it's about gladness.
Right. Okay. That's great. So fantastic. Congratulations that you are feeling glad because truly it is a matter of reframing and exchanging a negative emotion with a positive emotion so that we don't become stressed. That is really very good. Thank you for your answers. So we'd like to move on. Now, this is how the brain looks like. Now, as Attorney Bengson was earlier saying, we have two kinds of brain, and that's the feeling brain and the thinking brain. Now, the neocortex or the rational or thinking brain is located somewhere here. The limbic brain is the emotional or the feeling brain. With the limbic brain, we have the reptilian brain, this one, which is the amygdala. Now, our amygdala is the brain that senses danger or threat. So because of the amygdala, we can freeze, we can fight, we can flight, we can defend. So for example, if a lion comes into the room, of course you will you will run, right? So that is the amygdala making us do that. In imminent danger, the amygdala is very important. For example, if someone walks in the room with COVID-19, what will you do, right? So again, the amygdala, this part of the brain will tell you there's imminent danger and either you freeze, you defend yourself, or you run away. As I was saying earlier, the general consensus right now is glad. But because of the COVID-19 crisis and the pandemic and the ECQ, most of us may be anxious. That's because the amygdala is overreacting right now and it is on red alert. So baka na-experience nyo yung mga dating bagay na napagpapasensyahan natin. Probably right now, konting bagay, we may be irritated and we react immediately. That is because once again, it is overreacting, it is pulsing, because in general, we are in a threat mode. Okay? Now, as I was saying, it is very important to control our emotions. Why? Okay, let me ask everyone. Oh, may prize ito ha, Miss Sherry. The first one who answers a prize. What is the first brain that reacts? Is it the emotional brain or the thinking brain? Write your name and your answer on the chat box and Miss Reggie will announce who the winner is. Which one first reacts? The emotional brain or the thinking brain? Write your name and answer in the chat box, and then Miss Reggie will announce the winner. Miss Reggie, do we have a winner? So
Most
do
of
we
the
have
answers are
a winner? So once again, the first one who answers
sorry, for the
correctly.
first one who answered, ang bilis. Ang bilis silang sumagot. They are really alert, Rubes.
Galing!
Shout out na
So
lang kung
sino
sino unang sumagot.
Okay, so would you like to announce that later?
All right, I will do that. I will just have to rush up again and check it out. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so congratulations. I think all of you answered it correctly. The emotional brain, yun yung unang nagre-react in a nanosecond. If the emotional brain reacts in a 500 millisecond, ang bilis. The thinking brain comes in second. So it reacts about 250 milliseconds. So nauuna yung emotions, so much so that sometimes when we don't know it, when we don't have control over our emotions, especially the negative ones, we react without even thinking. Yung tawag natin, knee-jerk reaction. For example, somebody tells you, "Uy, ang taba mo," but you know, and that kind of irks you. So you become angry and you say something. That is reactive versus being responsive, because consciously or unconsciously our emotions affects our thinking. Therefore, emotions, thinking, it also affects our action and behavior. Okay, so moving on, this is what we call the CBT model. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. When we are able to control our moods and our thoughts and actions, we then become intentional. So much so that we build the situation that we would like to be in, instead of the situation controlling us and make us very reactive. For example, here we can see my mood and emotions influences my thoughts and actions. My thoughts and actions influences the quality of my life. And it, without saying, the quality of my life influences my mood and emotions. So we really have to take control of our thoughts and our moods so that we are in control of the situation. However, this is the real thing. It's not perfect. It is not 100% that you will be able to do this all the time. I've been on the long journey since 2016, but this is one thing I can say. It has impacted me professionally and personally in such a way that I'm able to take hold of my emotions. So much so that I take control of the situation, not all the time. And again, acceptance or accepting what is happening now is the best thing we can do, because it doesn't mean we're giving up. It just means we're trusting our ability to get through. Again, the mind and the body plays a significant role. Sabi ni Amy Cuddy is a behavioral scientist from Harvard. Sabi niya, if the mind can control how we feel, di ba, like the mind will say, oh, you're depressed, you're sad. So your whole body is slouched or you're not smiling. Your body can also control how we think or how we feel. If we're not feeling so confident and we're anxious, we can stand straight up and immediately the surge of confidence will be there. If you're angry, try smiling or sad the whole day. And neurons from our body, from our faces, will communicate to your brain saying, kala ko ba malungkot siya? No, she's not, because she's smiling, and your mood will change. Again, mind, body, and emotions. There has to be a balance in order for us to become the braver person that we ought to be because of this pandemic. We have to become the best version of ourselves, the braver version of ourselves when we go out of ECQ, because this crisis is far from over. Okay. Now, these are some tips. As you know, in the world of emotional intelligence, we always say, you cannot give what you do not have. So you have to care for yourself first. Make sure, di ba, when we're in the airplane, what do they say? Put on your mask first before you put others' mask. Because you have to learn to care for yourselves. Otherwise, how will you care for others? I have to tell you, I have 5 children. I'm a single mother. They are all professionals, ages ranging from 31 to 21. But I know I have to take care of myself first, physically, emotionally, and mentally, so that I can take care of them. And I'm also taking care of my 86-year-old mom. And being a single mother is not easy, but thank God, no, mga professional na sila. So what can we do? Learn how to be a self-care activist during times. You know what? Tough times never last, but tough people do. But this is the thing. Globally, everyone is saying it is the soft skills that will take place over the technical skills because they are also hard to harness. Number one, manage your boundaries. You always have to have a boundary of what you can do, what you cannot do, what you can share. I always tell my kids, I need to rest. Or you can say, I'm not well, but right now, not physically well. Or just go to your room and just say, I need my quiet time. That's fine. The people, to people who always put you down, because remember, you only make things happen when negative people tell you that you cannot do it, that you're just this. That is their story. You have to make your own story. Question your self-talk. Listen to yourself. Do you always put down yourself? Are you your worst critic? Stop that right now. You are worthy. You have to think that you are worthy. Happiness is a choice. It is not the things around us that makes us happy, because we can never change the world around us, but we can change the world within us. Own your experience. Like at the end of the day, at the end of COVID-19, as Queen Elizabeth has said, what stories will you be able to say? Will you be proud of how you reacted and responded during this time? Or will you be, oh my God, I didn't even know I had those weaknesses? Because right now, those strengths can come like, wow, I didn't even know I had those strengths. Or pwede rin sabihin natin na I didn't even know I had those weaknesses. And finally, find your third space. Even ang third space is, if you have stresses at home or at work, please, if for example, may stress ka sa work, do not bring them at home because it is unfair. The third space is where you can find a space between from home to work and make yourself peaceful and settled so that when you go home, you are the best version of yourself. Kaya lang, ito ngayon ang challenge. We are all now working from home. So what can you do? Minsan, di ba, parang, medyo the situation is very delicate, and then we're always with our family, that sometimes maybe conversations that we didn't want to talk about before are now surfacing. Sabi nga, di ba, familiarity breeds contempt. So baka nagkakainisan kayo, or sometimes, certain issues comes up. It's natural, don't worry. So finding your third space during working from home could be like me, after work, because I work every day from 8 to 5. I go to my room before dinner, I exercise, I watch Netflix, one episode. And then when I'm really feeling well, I come out, I smile, and I take care of my kids. So that is having a third space. Now, the other thing that you can do is reframing. What does reframing mean? Reframing is essentially looking at something in a different light. Now, there is what we call a duality of change. Ang duality of change, any change that comes is dual. Meron siyang dual thing, meaning it can be a risk or a challenge, which the COVID-19 is, right? But because there is duality, it also has an opportunity. Yes, we are now going to move from looking at the COVID-19 as a risk and a challenge into an opportunity. Like for me, I lost 5 pounds. That was an opportunity for me because I was eating fresh vegetables, fruits, homemade cooking. Instead of paglabas ko may McDonald's, paglabas ko may milk tea, paglabas ko may Starbucks when I was still working in the office. So another question with a prize. What opportunity, so Miss Reggie, get ready. What opportunities did you see because of the COVID-19, because of the pandemic? Like me, I also were able to prioritize, look at my priorities, and I was able to reflect on them. So the first two people with the best answer, Miss Reggie, what opportunities did you see because of the pandemic 19? Again, write your name and answer in the chat box. Okay, Miss Reggie, please collate Miss Anne their answers. What opportunities did you see? In any given situation, again, it has a dual personality. There is always the pros and cons. And even in this change, in this crisis, yes, we saw it as a risk, as a challenge, but there is also an opportunity along with that. So Miss Reggie, kindly, do you think there's a winner, or would you like to announce the winner later?
Okay. Let me announce the first one who answered. It's
Okay.
Oliver. He answered more time to pray. And also the second one is Sam Mac, who said
Ah,
she has more time to learn.
wow. All right.
Okay.
Now, so as
Earlier, sorry, Miss Roops, earlier there was the first one to answer was Miss Charmaine Bruce. Just so we
wow.
take note of who won
So
earlier.
Charmaine, Maxam, and who is the other person who won?
Oliver.
Oliver, congratulations. So Charmaine answered the emotional brain reacts
Yes,
first, correct? All right.
yes.
And the opportunities was learning and praying. Wow. All right. Thank you so much for the winners. Yes, I will continue with my all right. Now, breathing may be something simple, but this is something we can do any time of the day. When we're feeling stressed and anxious, when we are feeling so confused, like ano ba uunahin ko? What am I supposed to do through the day? Or I often do this when I was still driving, going to work. When it's so traffic, I use this. Because you see, when we're anxious or stressed, yung blood natin napupunta dun sa limbic brain natin or emotional brain. When we breathe and we learn the diaphragmatic breathing that we're going to do now. So everyone, let's do this. Yung blood and air goes to the rational brain so that we become focused, mas nagiging clear sa atin yung mga dapat gawin. Okay, so please sit comfortably. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through our nose, breathe out through our mouth. Okay, like breathe in 3 seconds and exhale 6 seconds through our mouth. You can even close your eyes. Right, let's all do this. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Please breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in. Deep breathing. Breathe out through our mouth. 2 more sets. Breathe in. Breathe out through our mouth. Last one. Breathe in. Breathe out through our mouth. Okay, how do you feel? I feel calm after that. Do you agree? Yeah, so it's calming, it makes you focus and relax, so much so that at any given situation that you feel stressed and anxious, you can do this anytime because it gives us the most important that we can do when we're feeling anxious is to pause and stop so that we can be in a state of calm and healing. Now, another thing that I do all the time is, as I say, a good day begins with a great emotional mindset. So while I'm brushing my teeth, before I go out of my room or before I go to work and start my day, I ask the following questions. What do I choose to let go of today that will deplete me of my good energy? Like if, for example, you're feeling mad over someone because of the work they did yesterday, is that worth doing, fighting, or somebody left the refrigerator door open? Is that enough to make me shout? Again, what do I choose to let go of today that will deplete me of my good energy? So that gives me clarity and focus on the positive things that I would like to do, because what you do today that is intentional will give you the present and the future you would like to have for yourself. Number two, and we did this during the contest, which is the gratitude attitude. What am I grateful for today? You know, every day when we do this, the feeling of positivity always comes up. And number three, what am I going to do today to align with my goals and purpose for the future I want for me and others? So once you're able to answer this before we work, before you go out of your room, your day is set. It's focused, it's going to be productive, and most of the time, it's going to be positive. Another thing that we can do, healthy thinking, and this is from Oprah, which is also our partner, our colleague from Genos International, who is our emotional intelligence partner. And Oprah, through Simon Miller, is a colleague of mine from New Zealand. And he was able to share this with us. When you have to decide on anything or you want to do something, number one, is the thought true? Like for example, oh no, I think I have the COVID. You ask yourself, is the thought true? What do you do with that? You have to couple it with action. Sige, magpapacheck ako. Is the thought worth it? Over and over in your heads, I may be sick, I may be sick. Is it worth it? And number three, will it help you achieve your goal? If the answer to any of these questions is no, reframe your thought. Go to the positive emotions, right? All right, now, this one, I also like you to answer in your chat box and write your name. We will be the ones, kami, Emovation will be the one to give you the prize after ECQ. The average first person has how many thoughts in a day? Anybody? Come on, give me numbers. Miss Reggie, again, write your name and your answer. The average person has how many thoughts in a day on the average? Anybody? Miss Reggie, did anybody answer? Write your name. I will be the one to personally give you the gift. Ayan. After ECQ, the average person has how many thoughts in a day? Anybody who answered? Miss Reggie? Sino na una?
There are those who answer 10, 1 million, 1,000,
Wow.
100,000, 7,000. So varied numbers.
Okay. Are we ready to know the answers? O sige, sirit na. The average person has approximately 15,000 thoughts per day on the average. Now, this is the thing. 50% are positive, therefore, 50% are negative, and every one of them produces some emotional response affecting decisions and behavior. What is this telling you? This data is telling us that 50% negative, 50% positive. Who has the choice to linger on the positive or the negative emotion? Sino? Tayo, right? It is then our choice. Gusto ko bang maging negative today because I will just be thinking of the negative thoughts? Or gusto ko bang maging positive today? The choice is all yours. So let me share this with you. You can choose. I choose
Hi, kadali.
to be the victor and not the victim in this situation. I will choose compassion over fear in this situation. I will choose
Ligo ka na,
to
pakit nga.
respond rather than to react in this situation. I will choose positivity over negativity in this situation. And I will choose to look at the possibilities rather than hopelessness in this situation. Okay? So again, it is a choice. Let me go back. I choose to bear my discomfort in this situation. This is a very uncomfortable situation. We're not asking you to feel it's perfectly all right. What we are just saying is, I will bear my discomfort in this situation rather than complain. I choose to forgive the shortcomings of others than be imprisoned and stagnate in my unforgiveness. I choose to accept the reality of what is happening rather than lament and blame others for the present situation. I choose to take action in the sphere of what I can do rather than agonize over my inability to have control. I choose to use this time to build my character, and when building my character, build my patience, rather than deplete my energy on a heartless, mindless, hopeless journey. and I choose to trust in someone bigger than me rather than torture myself over the truth that I simply cannot do everything. Again, it is a matter of choice. You have the power to choose whether you want to be positive or negative in this situation. So this is the last question that we're going to ask from all of the participants. And this, again, the prize will be from Global Powers. Which method are you going to use regularly and why? Again, write your name and answers in the chat box. Which method are you going to use regularly and why? And Miss Reggie will give us the winner. All right. So which method are you going to use regularly and why from the methods that we've spoken about? Okay. So Miss Reggie, let us know if you're ready to announce the winner. Which method are you going to use regularly and why? So that we can hand over the stage to our colleague, Dr. Mariel Rubia. So we can also just announce the winner later, all right, so that we can go ahead, all right? So this is my final word to everyone before we welcome with a round of applause, Dr. Mariel Rubia. We may not know what the future holds for us, but we do know who holds the future. And in all of this pandemic and crisis, I trust in someone bigger than who I am because I know that I can only do so much. So having said that, I would like to say thank you to everyone for giving me those precious time that I can share what I have with everyone. And now I would like to give this time to our esteemed colleague, Dr. Mariel Rubia. Welcome.
Thank you, Miss Ruby.
Thank you too.
Okay. Can you hear me, everyone? Good morning,
Yes.
everyone. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So before I start my discussion thoroughly, I would like to thank Miss Ruby for inviting me over, and also to all the employees and the management for inviting us. It is an honor for us to be here, and we are very happy to share our knowledge about emotional wellness, mental wellness, and mental health. Okay, so let me emphasize that I will focus more on mental health because mental health already encompasses mental wellness. I believe also that this area is often mistaken, for instance, in the HR field, as mental wellness, or they are being interchangeably used. Even in conferences that we attend, they make use of the term mental wellness instead of mental health. But what is really the difference between the two? Okay, so I'm not saying that mental wellness is not important. It is also important as it improves the quality of our lives, but it is not as necessary as mental health. Okay, and as this pandemic gradually moves away from our lives, a secondary crisis unfolds. Okay? And actually, it is unfolding already alongside the more obvious one. And this is no other than the rapid increase of both short term and long term clinical mental illness. Okay? So, according to the World Psychiatry that was published in a scholarly journal last June 4, 2015, mental health is the dynamic state of internal equilibrium which enables individuals to make use of their abilities in harmony, okay, with the universal values of the society. So This would include our basic and social cognitive skills, ability to recognize and modulate one's emotions, to empathize with others, flexibility, ability to cope with adversities in lives, our social roles, the harmonious relationship between the body and mind, which basically represents the main components of mental health and which contributes to the varying degrees to the state of internal equilibrium. So in other words, what do I mean by this one? Okay? So mental health is a crucial and critical healthcare service that we should pay attention to. Okay? For many, it is a matter of life and death. And to simply put in, mental health is not just an indulgence. Okay? So sometimes we have this tendency to equate mental health with mental wellness, thus putting mental health on the sidelines. And because of this lack of proper emphasis that should be placed on the mental health of people, okay, we continue to avoid the proper treatment kasi meron siyang stigma. Okay? So we avoid the proper treatment, and as much as possible, we do not consult with a professional mental health provider. So, on the other hand, ano ba yung mental wellness? Okay? So, mental wellness is a positive state of mental health. Okay? It is more than just the absence of mental illness. So now, let's proceed with the significance of mental health in relation to the pandemic. Okay? So, what is really the significance or the importance of studying mental health in relation to this COVID-19? Okay? So, remember that we have two triggers for mental illness. Okay? Specifically, in the current crisis that we are experiencing, the first one would be the sadness. The sadness because we fear for our lives. And then the second one is the stress when our emotional attachments decay, okay, as a result of social isolation. So isolations may have remedies, okay, when you just simply join a Zoom cocktail party or maybe have FaceTime sessions with your friends or any other online platforms. But it does not mitigate, okay? It does not mitigate it for many people. For some, it does, okay? But it's really a case-to-case basis. So, according to Dr. Tiffany Field, okay, she is the director of Touch Research Institute. Touch deprivation exacerbates depression, okay? And it weakens basically our immune system. So this social isolation thing that we are experiencing, this quarantine, okay, could actually weaken our immune system. On the other hand, positive touch stimulates our vagal nerve. So if you are not aware of your vagal nerves, it is a part of your 12 cranial nerves, and it is the one responsible for reducing the cortisol level, which is the stress hormone in your body that impairs your immune response. Okay? And there are ways, aside from touching another person, to stimulate these vagal nerves. Okay? Like for instance, you can take a cold shower and actually it stimulates your vagal nerves and it makes you less prone to depression. There are other ways, okay? Like aside from that, you can also take some probiotics, okay? You're familiar with Yakult, yan, okay? Or foods that are rich in omega-3, pwede rin yung mga vegetables, like yung mga seeds, nuts, omega-3 from fish oils, yan, okay? So, these days, maganda if you would eat those kinds of foods because it will make your hormones happier, specifically the happy hormones or the happy neurotransmitters that our brain naturally produce, it increases the level of those neurotransmitters. So what are those neurotransmitters ba? Okay? Let's say kasi, if we are undergoing social isolation, ano yung nangyayari sa neurotransmitters na nire-release ng brain natin? For instance, we have this neurotransmitter serotonin. Okay? So, to avoid being technical, let me just explain to you the function of serotonin to the brain. Okay? It is the happy chemical hormone of our brain. So, low levels of serotonin is associated with depression. And sometimes there is no reason, because sometimes depression could be not just environmental factor, but it has also a genetic factor, or it could be yung physiological. Okay? Sometimes when our serotonin levels are low, okay, we feel sad, we feel lethargic, we feel very, very down. Okay? So aside from the serotonin neurotransmitter, we also have the dopamine neurotransmitter. Okay? So an increased level of the dopamine neurotransmitter, okay, gives us a pleasurable feeling. Aside from the fact that it's actually responsible for our motor functions also, yung movements ng katawan natin. Okay? So, paano mo mai-increase yung level ng dopamine mo, ng serotonin mo? Of course, you can engage into exercise. Pwede kang magpamasahe kasi nga touch is very essential. Okay? So, aside from dopamine, oxytocin. Okay? So, I'm sure that almost everyone here is familiar with the hormone oxytocin, because this one is the hormone that promotes what? Love, okay? Well-being, attachment to other people. So, yon. So, basically, it's also a happy hormone, okay? So, we have, again, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and the fourth one is endorphins, okay? So, whenever you experience pain, diba? So, sometimes, when you cannot tolerate pain or when you feel easily bad about something, usually your endorphin levels is quite low. Okay, so what do? Either you exercise, okay, you engage yourself into sports, or you simply eat chocolates pag medyo tinatamad ka. Okay? But somehow, it could increase the level of your endorphins. So given all these scenarios, okay, we would see how the study of mental health is really significant, especially in the aftermath of the pandemic. Okay? Because the pandemic is not just an epidemiological crisis, meaning to say when we talk about epidemiological crisis, it is a branch of medicine that relates to the incidence, the distribution, and the control of diseases, but also it is a psychological one. Okay? Why psychological? Simply because, okay, the situation provokes anxiety, stress, sadness, okay? And it even leads us to an experience of collective grief. So yun yung sinasabi natin na communal grief. But this grief only happens to those people who lost their loved ones because of this virus? No, okay? Because we are in a series of losses when it comes to this virus. It is loss from our sense of safety, loss in terms of our social connections, to our financial security. Diba? Ang daming nawalan ng trabaho. Okay? So, and these losses can only be put into proper perspective with the help of a mental health professional. Okay? Kasi nga, like what the others have said earlier, okay, it is important for us to accept our situation. That is the first step before we can move forward. Okay? To accept the situation that we are not okay, okay, is normal. But to recognize the situation as something that is unbearable, okay, that you cannot do anything about it, that makes it psychopathological. That makes you prone to mental disorder. Okay? Remember that. So, okay. Another thing is that it also makes us question our understanding of the world around us. Parang, di ba, you'll be asking yourself, is it still healthy to raise my kids right now? How will I help my loved ones, the elderly? Is the world a safe place to live in? Okay, so the losses includes our sense of predictability, control, justice, and the belief that uh, it will be hard for us to protect our children and especially our elderly loved ones. So given all these factors, therefore, the understanding of mental health, again, I would like to emphasize, is very, very crucial in this time. Okay? And psychology has a purpose in the midst of this crisis. And it can either embrace its purpose or retreat from them. Now, what are the post COVID-19 impact to a person's mental health? So, ano ba yung usually nangyayari? Okay? So, some of it I've mentioned already. So, there is the loss of control. There is also the psychological deterioration based on a scholarly journal. That's the British Journal of Psychiatry. The widespread feelings of helplessness, mental health deterioration, etc. Actually, the things that you see in the screen here, some of these are mental disorder, some are symptoms of mental disorders, okay? Some are mild symptoms that could eventually, in the long term, lead to a full-blown mental disorder. And another thing is that, of course, it has long-term effects to those people who have pre-existing mental health conditions. This is what they say na yung double depression, okay? You can just imagine a person who was diagnosed with a clinical depression and at the same time, they are trying to survive during this time of pandemic, okay? And then another is grief and disappointments for missing of some of life's milestones. Diba? If you may remember, meron ako napanood sa TV, yung kinasal sila via online platform, okay? So, mas maganda sana yon if you are going to share that events in person with your loved ones, but because of this PCQ, okay, hindi natin makapiling yung mga mahal natin sa buhay. Okay? Also, graduation. Some students are graduating online. Okay? So, those are some of the important milestones. Now, let me focus on the common mental illness and distress brought about by the pandemic. Okay? But before I go to that, I have a question, just a review based on what I have discussed earlier. Okay? And my first question, wherein you can just input your answers in the chat box, is what are the 4 neurotransmitters responsible for our well-being, happiness, feelings of love, and pleasure? Okay? So you can just type in your answers. Let me see if you're listening. It's not there in the PowerPoint, but I have mentioned it earlier and explained. Okay? So again, what are the 4 neurotransmitters responsible for our well-being, feelings of happiness, love, and pleasure? Okay. Okay. So I will give my answer later by the end of this presentation. So that's my first question. Now, let me proceed with the common mental illness that we are experiencing during the time of pandemic. Okay, and some forms of distress. Okay, let me first emphasize the common mental illness. So this is based on scholarly journals wherein it was published just recently in May 2020. There was a study wherein they have identified that the common mental illness that is present during pandemic is, for one, there is the generalized anxiety disorder, okay? So anxiety disorders. And then another one is depression. And then another one is post-traumatic stress disorder, okay? So let me discuss these three, okay? So first, let me start with the generalized anxiety disorder. Ito lang ba yung simpleng na-anxious ka sa mga bagay-bagay, nag-aalala ka, nababahala ka? No, it's not. Okay? Because according to the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, okay, that is considered to be our Bible as clinical psychologists, okay, there are certain diagnostic criteria that a person must meet. Okay, so first is criterion A, there is a stressor. So again, at least one stressor is required. So what are these stressors under post-traumatic stress disorder? It could be a direct exposure to the stressor. So for example, in our case, those who directly experience being sick because of the virus, or another factor could be the person has witnessed the trauma, okay? And then another is learning that a relative or close friend was actually exposed to the trauma, in our case, the virus. And then another is yung indirect exposure to the details of the trauma. Now, this indirect exposure is naturally being experienced by medical health practitioners and even as psychologists. Kasi marami kaming patients ngayon wherein they are experiencing depression, and then they tell us about their experiences, ano yung mga traumatic events na nangyayari sa kanila. So we could also be prone under this criteria, under the indirect experiences. Now, the second criterion, aside from the stressor, is the intrusion symptoms. Okay? So what are these intrusion symptoms? So at least one din ang required. Okay? From the stressors, at least one din yung required doon. So from the intrusion, one is unwanted upsetting memories. Okay? The second one is nightmares. Okay? So binabangungot ka. So binabangungot ka na hinahabol ka ng virus. So yan. Another is yung flashbacks. Okay? Another is emotional distress. And after thinking about those emotional distress, so nagkaroon ka ng parang naisip mo lang siya, tapos you feel stress na agad. Okay? And then another is physical reactivity after exposure to traumatic reminders. So that is just criterion B. Okay? So kaya ang sinasabi ko, bago mo sabihin na may mental disorder ang isang tao, okay? Kasi baka mamaya, they are just experiencing the symptoms. But actually, they did not qualify for the diagnostic criteria because there is a certain criteria that they must qualify. Now, the third one is the avoidance, okay? So one is only required. One is trauma-related thoughts or feelings. So the avoidance of that one. And then the second one is the trauma-related external reminders. Okay? Let's say, for instance, kapag may nakikita kang aso, okay? So, nahihirapan kang huminga, parang nagpa-panic attack ka, okay? So, that is part of it, okay? And then, criterion D is negative alterations in cognitions and moods, okay? At least 2 is required, okay? So, dalawa yung requirements. One is, kapag halimbawa, yung mga nabibiktima ng rape, yan, they could not, there's an inability for them to recall the key features of the incidence of trauma. Okay? The second one is overly negative thoughts and assumptions about the self, about the world. Okay? And then the third is exaggerated blame for the self. Okay? Or for other people. Yan. And then the next one is negative affect. Okay? And then the next one, decreased interest in activities. Wala ka ng gana. Okay? Feeling isolated. So that's another one. And then difficulty generating positive affect. Yung hirap na hirap kang maging masaya, to be optimistic about things. So that is criterion D. Okay? Now there is criterion E. Okay? Which is alterations in arousals and reactivity. Okay? So what are this? Under this criterion, the person may experience one of the following, which is irritability or aggression. Yung mabilis ka, napaka-short-tempered mo. Okay? Risky or destructive behavior. Okay? Substance abuse, yan. Hypervigilance, heightened startle reaction. Yun, yung exaggerated na reaction sa mga bagay-bagay, yung pagkagulat, yan. And then there's this difficulty concentrating, you cannot focus, and then there's difficulty sleeping. Okay. So for how long, okay, does this symptoms must occur? Okay. So dapat, para pumasok siya sa PTSD, okay, the symptoms should last for at least a month. Okay? Otherwise, you're just having the PTSD symptoms kapag hindi siya halos umabot ng for a month. Okay? But then, for instance, if you haven't completed the criterion, okay, pero the symptoms are immediate, okay, for a period of 6 months, pwede siyang pumasok din sa PTSD, which is under delayed specification. Okay? And then, another is, there are certain exclusions. Okay? We have to make sure that the symptoms that I have mentioned are not due to medication, substance use, or other illnesses. Okay? For us to classify it under PTSD. And then, the person, other specifications would be the person is either experiencing the personalization or the realization. Okay, so what is this depersonalization? Normally, the person feels detached from the self, like parang pinapanood ko yung sarili ko na I was contaminated with a virus. So yon, parang hindi ka makapaniwala na nakita mo yung sarili mo naghihirap. Okay, so pinapanood mo siya from afar. And then the realization is the experience of unreality. Okay, that for example, you have this belief that things are not actually real. Okay, so those are the diagnostic criteria for PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, I would like to emphasize that the most important thing that you have to remember about PTSD is the existence of trauma. Okay? That's why in most of the studies, in most of the current studies nowadays about pandemics, even during the time of influenza and SARS, okay, PTSD is one of the leading mental health problem, okay? Because it follows the existence of pandemics. So yan. Now, let's go to the depression naman. Kasi common din yung depression, okay? So, there is also a diagnostic criteria for depression, okay? And for some, baka ang tawag nila doon is over-pathologizing, okay? Yung malungkot ka lang, sasabihin mo na, depressed ka na. No. For all you know, that is just an ordinary sadness, which is just normal. Because normal people experience different range of emotions, from happiness, sadness, being surprised, okay? So it's really a natural part of our lives. Okay? It makes us, kumbaga, normal individuals. So yon. Now, going back to depression, what is the criteria being stated by the Diagnostic Statistical Manual or the DSM-5 for depression? So sabi niya, at least 5 of the following symptoms have to be present, okay, during the same 2-week period. So again, may duration na naman po ito for you to classify it as depression. Okay? So what are the symptoms? So dapat at least 5. One is depressed mood. Okay? So normally, pag sa adult, yung feeling down, feeling always sad. But for the children, iba yung expression nila ng depressed mood. Okay? It could be a form of irritability. So yun. Throwing tantrums. So yan. And then the next one is diminished interest or loss of pleasure in almost all activities. Okay? Yung wala ka nang ganang gawin yung mga bagay-bagay. And let's say, before, you used to enjoy eating salad, preparing your meals. But right now, you just feel so lethargic and lazy doing it. Okay? And then the third one is significant weight change. Okay? Or a change in appetite. Either you are overeating, okay? Or yung wala kang ganang kumain. Okay? And then another one is sleep disturbance. Okay? So it could be in a form of insomnia or hypersomnia. Kasi signs din ng depression yung kapag nag-oversleeping tayo. Okay? So take note of that. It's not just not being able to sleep, but when we oversleep. Okay? And then another is psychomotor agitation. Okay? Or retardation. Another is fatigue or loss of energy, wherein you feel that you are always tired. Okay? And then feelings of worthlessness, okay? Hopelessness, and then diminished ability to think and concentrate, or you are unable to focus. So that is another criteria. And then the last one would be suicidal ideations, okay? You just have the idea about committing suicides, okay? Wala ka pang suicidal attempts, iba pa yon, okay? So you have suicidal thoughts or recurrent thoughts about death. So those are the symptoms of depression. So now, let me move forward to the generalized anxiety disorder. So let me be fast on this one. Now, to differentiate generalized anxiety disorder from an ordinary form of worry. Kasi baka sabihin nyo, I do have a generalized anxiety disorder. Kasi palagi akong nag-worry. Okay? So, let me just be fast on this one. Whenever you are diagnosed with a generalized anxiety disorder, the worry is normally more exaggerated as compared to the normal worry. And sometimes you cannot even pinpoint in what specific area are you worried about, because you are worried about a lot of things. Okay? So, and there is also a duration. Now, in terms of worrying about a lot of things, what are this? Okay? So it could be those things involving your family, your personal life, your work life, your environment, basta lahat ng bagay pinoproblema mo. Okay? Now, the duration is up to a period of 6 months. Okay? So, moving forward, aside from that, some of the things that I have listed here are more of the symptoms, such as from transient, mild to moderate depressive symptoms. Okay? So, ito yung paminsan-minsan, nalulungkot tayo. Okay? Sometimes we're okay, and then sometimes we feel very, very sad. Okay? But it's not really happening in a consistent manner. And then another is feeling more anxious than usual. So, yan. But then again, for it to qualify as a GAD, it needs to reach up to 6 months. So, yun. And then people with pre-existing psychiatric vulnerabilities may develop anxiety disorders, PTSD, and even, I forgot to mention about obsessive compulsive disorder, okay? Like for instance, this is highly connected with the pandemic that we are experiencing, okay? Because from the word itself, we have these obsessions about being contaminated by the pandemic, okay? So we actually feel anxious about it. We fear about it from time to time. So those are our obsessions. Now, in terms of compulsions, how do we release this, or how do we relieve ourselves from this form of anxiety? So we tend to what? Wash our hands from time to time, kahit sobrang exaggerated na. So those are some of the examples for compulsions. Now, if this is being done for a long period of time, even after the pandemic, such that it already affects your socio-occupational functioning, meaning to say you cannot function normally as a person anymore, to the point that you miss out on important events, lagi kang nalilate sa work because of being an OC, then it could be a disorder already also. So yon. Okay? And then another for children, okay? What are the simple behavioral patterns of distress that they normally experience? One is they are very, very clingy to their parents. Yun. Distraction. They're very irritable. They have this certain kind of feelings of uncertainty, like they tend to ask questions like, Mom, when am I supposed to go to school again? So, kailan ko ulit makita yung friends ko? So, yon. So, marami silang questions. When will this be over? So, yon. And then another is worry. So, yon. Now, for children with special needs, okay, what do they normally exhibit as a behavior? So, one is a form of distress could be in terms of irritability, aggression, yan. They usually throw tantrums, and also for the others naman, social withdrawal. Okay? So basta tatahimik na lang sila, magkukulong sa kwarto. Okay? Now, for the next part, let's go to the coping mechanisms and interventions. Okay? So what should we actually do in order to fight this pandemic? So I'll be very, very practical. What I have included here are some of the things that I usually tell my patients to do. I usually incorporate it also in my therapy sessions as part of their activities in my treatment plan. So first is set up a routine, okay? So in the same manner that we adults used to have our routines during pre-COVID, okay, time, wherein gigising tayo, okay, we drink our coffee, take a shower, and then drive ourselves going to work, tapos uuwi, manonood ng TV, and then matutulog. In the same manner, during the post-COVID experience, dapat we should also set up a routine, or even right now, okay? Let me share with you my personal experience. Like, since we implemented this work from home setup, okay, I still I still act as if I am really going to work to motivate myself, okay, just to keep myself motivated. Like, I wake up at a certain time, like I wake up as early as 6 a.m. and then I eat my breakfast and then I take a shower. Sometimes nagme-makeup pa ako, okay? Pero ang kaharap ko lang naman is yung internet. So yon, online lang naman. So minsan hindi ko pa nakikita yung mga office mates ko. But still, I wear makeup, okay? So just to set the tone, okay? So important yon. Meron siya talagang, even studies would prove that there is a certain psychological effect, okay? And it's positive. It makes you feel more motivated. So yon. Another is turn off the news if it makes you feel more depressed, okay? Remember, okay, you make use of the social media platform to at least maintain your relationship with your loved ones, with your friends, okay? So if your purpose is for that one, okay lang yon, okay? But if your purpose is to monitor ilang cases na meron dito sa Pilipinas, sa buong mundo, okay? And if it makes you feel more and more stressed, then you better minimize, okay? Watching the news online, because really, it does affect the neurotransmitters of your brain. So, mas bumababa yung level ng serotonin natin, yung dopamine, okay? And we tend to feel more depressed. Yeah. So, yung ang sinasabi nila na infodemic, okay? It happens because of yung mga fake news, okay? There was even a study in Wuhan, China, wherein this infodemic affects a lot of citizens there, and it caused a lot of depression, anxiety, stress, and there is in fact a positive relationship between social media exposure because of this infodemic and uh, depression, and as well as anxiety. So yon. So take note of that. Another is encourage video chatting with friends and loved ones. So like what I've said earlier, it is very important for us to make use of the social media platform in order to maintain our relationship with other people, to connect with other people, because we need other people in order for us to function and in order to keep ourselves sane, okay? And then another is create a regular activity. Okay? So like for instance, sa bahay nyo, like kapag during the weekday, nag-work from home ka, like yung sinabi kanina ni Miss Ruby, she has the time for watching an episode, at least in the Netflix. So yon. Kami naman, let me share my experience. Like every Sunday, talagang I would announce it sa parents ko, 3 p.m., okay? Mag-online mass tayo. Tapos nagsiset ako ng altar. So, we do that. So, kasi pag may activity ka, parang it makes you more connected with your other family members. It makes you more alive. It makes you feel more motivated. Yung parang talagang nagpa-function ka pala normally, okay? And in touch with other people. So aside from that, aside from watching movies, I also cook a special dish every weekend also. So weekend lang yon kasi mahirap siyang gawin ng weekdays. So yon. For outdoors naman, if possible, okay? Like, let's say, in the observance of social distancing, maybe kapag wala naman halos tao sa village nyo, maybe you can run for an hour. Yun, basta don't forget to wear your face mask, okay? And observe social distancing. So, it's also good because exercise, okay, increase the levels of your endorphins. So, yan. And then you have to, another is stick to a consistent sleep and waking up time, okay? Avoid taking naps during the day, which is yung mga more than 30 minutes kasi it disrupts your night sleep, okay? Mas importante yung na husto yung tulog natin sa gabi because usually yung brain cells natin mas nagre-rejuvenate siya at night time. Okay, so it's very, very important for us to get a good night's sleep. And then, let's say if you don't really understand yourself, you're having a difficult time coping with what is happening right now in your environment, it is time for you to seek help from a professional. Pero sasabihin nyo, napaka-expensive naman ng mga psychologists nowadays. Okay, mind you, okay? In fact, I can even send to you via email the list of centers wherein you can get a free online counseling. Okay? So I have so many of that because I'm also a member of the Psychological Association of the Philippines. So they give us a list purposely to help people, okay, cope with this pandemic, psychologically speaking, okay? And I myself also a specific time wherein I give free therapy sessions to indigent clients. And I normally do that every Saturdays in the afternoon. So yun yung for 4 hours, like 4 clients every Saturday afternoon. So that's 1 hour per client. So yun yung ginagawa ko to be able to help. Yeah. And then another, as part of intervention, resilience training. You know, this one is very, very important. It has been proven, it has been tried and tested based on research and studies. Okay? There was one research wherein they engaged their mental health professionals into a resilience training, and the effect of that was that yung coping mechanisms nila mas maganda as compared to those who did not at all receive the resilience training. Okay, so this one is very, very important. And then another is yung telepsychology. Okay, so what is meant by telepsychology? Telepsychology is making use of technology as a form of modality in delivering psychological services such as therapy, in lieu or in addition to the usual face-to-face method that we normally do. Actually, ginagawa ko na to. Okay? So, lahat ng pasyente ko, because of the quarantine nga, I normally conduct telepsychology. So, lahat ng therapy sessions ko, even assessment if kaya, okay, I do it online. Yun, since hindi sila nakaka-visit sa clinic every weekends. So, and it has been very, very helpful and effective also. So, the last one is psychological first aid. Now, this psychological first aid specifically is intended for those who had suffered trauma or who have encountered trauma-related experiences such as this pandemic, okay? But this psychological first aid, for you to call it as such, it has 4 components, okay? So what are those 4 components? The first one is to stabilize or to create stability to the patient or to the client, wherein you have to train your brain, the flight and fight response of your brain to realize that the stressful event is actually over. Okay, so that's why you apply the psychological first aid after the trauma. So maganda to after nung yung post-COVID experience. So yan, halimbawa may PTSD siya. So yon. And then after stabilizing the patient, okay, you need to create calm. So this calming of the patient does not necessarily happen na dapat at the end siya, but even during therapy sessions. So yon, it's very, very important. The third one is to create self-efficacy and collective efficacy. Okay? Na dapat tulungan mo silang makabangon. Okay? To be able to defeat this experience, this traumatic experience of being exposed to a pandemic. So yon. And to realize their potentials as individuals. And at the same time, to experience growth. Okay? So after the third one, there is this connection, to create connection. So that is the 4th component. And then the 5th component is to create hope. Okay? So hope is very, very important. Okay? So now, for my next question, okay, before I end my presentation, if you're listening, I would like to ask, just give me at least 2 specific coping mechanisms that will improve your mental health, okay? Give me at least 2 specific coping mechanisms that will improve your mental health, okay? So, and now to give you the answers, dun sa yung first question ko kanina, so I can give naman the answers na, no? Nasendan nila kanina yung answers nila. Excuse me, hello? Is it okay for me to give the answers for the first question?
Okay.
Okay. So the answers are, what are these?
Yes, I think it's formal now.
Okay. So for the first question, the answers are the different neurotransmitters. This includes the serotonin, dopamine, okay, the oxytocin, and the endorphin.
And there-
Okay? So those are the 4 neurotransmitters. Now for the coping naman, marami yun eh. Okay? So can somebody give me some of the coping mechanisms that you can actually do? Like for instance, magbibigay ako. Nabigay na naman nila yung sagot nila, no? I can reveal the answers. Okay, so one is you need to set up a routine at home. At what else pa? Can somebody tell me here the answers?
I can see their answers, Miss Reggie.
Okay. So what are some of the answers?
Some of the answers are avoid listening to the news,
Yes, very good.
exercise, chocolates,
Yes. So
seek
madami.
help of professionals.
Yes.
Marami eh. I think they're really attentive to you, Doc.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you, Doc Mariel.
Thank you so much. And that ends my presentation. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc Mariel.
For the Q&A, Miss Reggie.
Yes. Okay, so we have received so many questions, and it only goes to show how interested and how effective our experts are in conveying their expertise to our team right now. So the first question is Miss Ruby and Dr. Mariel.
Yes.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
What are the suggested activities to deal or cope with the effects of social physical isolation due to the COVID crisis?
All right. I think a lot of those were mentioned by Dr. Mariel earlier. Create a routine is number one. Also, use social media platforms. As a matter of fact, me and my friends, we had a social distancing happy hour session.
That's nice.
We did. So my BFFs, because there's a free Zoom platform. So we set up Zoom sa merong naka-wine, merong naka-beer, may coffee, and we just chatted about things that we would like to chat about, hindi work. And then the other thing is meron namang YouTube, I use that walking because alam niyo naman, di ko na kaya ng mga high impact exercise. So I actually, aminado na eh, no? I actually exercise in my room for about 15 minutes kasi nga, according again to Doc Mariel, lumalabas yung mga oxytocin, dopamine when we exercise.
Yes.
Number 3, yun, we go servicing yung praising God online every Sunday. And then, the other thing, kumakanta ako. Yan, nagbibideo kaya ako mag-isa.
That's very nice.
And then the other thing that we do, because like Badet cooks for us. So pag and Linda, takes care of the house. They are our support system here in the house. Pinapa-day off namin sila. Tapos kami na mga kids and ako, may maghugas ng pinggan, mayroong magluluto. So we share the chores around the house. So nawawala yung energy mo thinking about the pandemic because you are translating the anxiety into action. Another thing, translate your anxiety into action by asking yourselves, what am I anxious about? You write it down and then do something about those questions and then translate it into action. That's what I can share.
Okay, thank you. Another, just to add with what Miss Ruby has mentioned, kasi ako rin, personally, ginagawa ko rin siya. Like for example, yung pag-exercise, cooking for the family. Another important thing, I think it was mentioned earlier also by the previous speakers, and it was being done here, na-observe ko rin, yung activity nyo na what are you thankful for? That is the gratitude exercise. Yes. Because in fact, the gratitude exercise has some scientific studies that it could affect our brain, okay? And it could prevent us from experiencing depression, okay? So for me, what I do advise to my patient is that they should write at least a gratitude letter as one of their activities. Not necessarily sending the letter to the recipient, but the mere act of writing it, okay? Kasi gratitude letter siya. So, it kumbaga diverts your attention from the negative thoughts, so you become more positive. You are reminded of the blessings that you are continuously receiving. Thus, meron din siyang effect dun sa serotonin levels natin. Actually, it increases your serotonin level when you do the gratitude exercise. Okay?
Wow.
So, yes, so that's one. And then
I'd like
another,
to add,
yes.
for those of, kasi kami ng team, no? Our team, because of work and we are working from home online. Once we get on, we log in, we chit chat about how are you doing. We have a huddle in the morning with the team, and then we pray together. And then at the end of the day, again, a huddle. How are you? What were your accomplishments? And then we again pray. So it sort of gives us connected all the time. So parang at the end of, before we start our work, we're smiling kasi may prayer. Then at the end of the day, another huddle, thanking God for what has transpired. So in relation to the gratitude attitude. So it ends our day with a smile as well.
Yes, that's nice. And then, just to add also, naalala ko, kasi yung sa social isolation, di ba? So, sabi natin, we need touch, okay? We can actually still do this one, okay? Within our family members. So, just
Right.
make sure na kapag halimbawa, galing kayo sa labas, you take a shower before hugging your kids or hugging your spouse or your partner. So, kasi it's very, very important. And yung touch talaga, it's very, very therapeutic. It highly affects the production of the neurotransmitters of your brain, lalo na kapag nag-exceed siya ng 20 seconds. Okay?
Wow.
It becomes 20 seconds. So, magbilang ka kapag may niyakap ka. Okay, but dapat may...
Dapat 20.
Yes, 20 seconds. So, yun, magbilang ka 1 to 20 and it becomes therapeutic already. Okay?
Doc Mariel, okay ba yung, kasi I have a dog, so hinayakap ko lagi. Kasama ba yun?
Actually, animals have some therapeutic effects also.
Yes, I
So just
agree.
make sure lang, yun nga, that the animal is clean, that you are
Clean.
also clean. Yeah, na hindi pinapalabas yung aso. So, because
Exactly,
you have
yeah.
to be careful. So, yun.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Straight from the expert's mouth and very inspiring answers. Definitely, they're saying that we can shift when we are already in the proper awareness level. Then we can shift. There are a lot of ways, and some were discussed by our experts. So, second question. Whenever I feel anxious due to this pandemic, does it invalidate my feelings because some people are experiencing worse? Yung parang nakakakonsensya na maka-feel ng disappointments and frustrations kasi may ibang tao na mas malala yung problema.
Okay, let me answer that first. One of the emotions also being felt now, guilt. Kasi parang ako, I'm doing better kasi I have food on the table, I have my family with me, and yet I still feel frustration, di ba, and anxiety. That's okay because all emotions are valid. And remember what Dr. Maria said, communal grief. That is a good sign actually because that means you have empathy. Nararamdaman mo yung nararamdaman ng iba. So do not feel guilty about it. That's okay. You have to accept it as a valid feeling. And being empathic, use that to listen to others whom you feel are doing worse. Use empathy. Kasi iba ang empathy sa sympathy eh. Ang sympathy, naaawa ka. Ang empathy, naiintindihan mo yung nararamdaman ng iba. So that's a good thing because you're empathizing with how others are feeling.
Yes. And then just like to add, as you understand how others feel, okay, maybe you can find ways also on how you can help them. Kahit yung simple form of listening, kung sino yung mga tao na madali mong maabot, like yung friends mo, okay? So if you know some of your friends who are whom you consider na mas nahihirapan sila mag-deal dun sa situation more than you, then why not just ask them how are they doing? So those simple gestures could actually go a long way. Okay? So yun.
All right. So we have more questions. Another question is about seeking professional help. I think we were able to address it earlier, but let me go to one specific question that is more urgent. Ang question na is, with all stress and anxiety that the pandemic brings, what can be the effects and kind of coping can pregnant women do? Ito na, yung mga on maternity. I think this is a very valid question, especially a lot of women can experience this kind of anxiety.
Or for the pregnant women, no, yung hormones is raging or medyo
Yes.
nagkakagulo na nga yung hormones tapos nasa ganitong situation
Yes.
pa.
It's a double jeopardy.
Jeopardy yan, no? So parang kumbaga ba yung amygdala mo ay is hyperactive, nasa red alert. So you really have to do to eat well, sleep well, do breathing exercises. And if there's for women, ako kasi, no, I got pregnant so many times already. Do the do the talk therapy for women kasi pag nailabas mo yung nasa loob mo, someone you trust, someone whom you feel will not judge you, the talk therapy, talking it out with someone, how you feel, why you feel it, will also create wonders for your mental and emotional health. Again, also don't make sure that you are physically well. Eat the right food. Pilitin mo. Sleep well. If you need to rest, go ahead and rest. Be a self-care activist. For those who are pregnant, again, be a self-care activist. Okay?
Okay. So I would add my answer. Normally, this is the first thing that I usually tell my patients. Okay? It's a very simple thing. In fact, na-mention siya kanina ni Miss Ruby, but it's very, very important. And parang siya yung, kumbaga, in times of emergency, kapag, halimbawa, nagkakaroon ka ng panic attacks, yung hindi mo na alam yung gagawin mo, this is a very, very important activity that you should do. Okay? Yung breathing exercise.
Yes.
And
Simple, but powerful.
Yes. It has an effect, okay? The breathing exercise has an effect to our vagal nerves, okay? It stimulates your vagal nerves. It makes you feel more calm and less stressed. But how should you do it, okay? So you have to do it very, very slowly, okay? You need to breathe in, okay, using your nose. So that's the proper way of doing it. Inhale using your nose. And then you exhale using your mouth. Okay?
Yes.
So, you do it 3 times first. Tapos kapag hindi pa rin siya umu-okay, ulitin mo siya. And I tell you, it does wonders. Okay?
It does. Yeah. I'm a firm believer. Again, 3 seconds breathing in and then exhaling 6 seconds through your mouth. Immediate calmness, immediate clarity. Tama yun. 3, do 3, and then another 3 if it doesn't work. Tsaka yung chemicals that are causing us, like for example, adrenaline, no? That's causing us na yung blood pressure natin, umaakit, tsaka cortisol, those are the bad hormones eh. Bababa yan.
With stress hormones.
Ang screenshot. May price.
Another thing also, no? Another coping mechanism that maybe she can do. I haven't experienced being pregnant kasi single naman ako. So hindi pa ako na but ito yung usually na sinasabi ko sa mga pasyente ko rin, okay? Writing the negative emotions, okay, is a form of releasing it, then releasing it to anybody else, then suddenly mag-outburst ka ng anger. Mas maganda isusulat natin. We put it into writing. So that we'll have a better perspective about it. So babasahin natin siya, and then afterwards you throw it away. Okay? So it's a release of those negative feelings. So yun, it's a very, very good coping exercise.
Okay. So what an exciting discussion. Alam mo, ang dami pang pwedeng tanong, but for purposes of time, we need to wrap up. Maraming salamat sa mga questions nyo. But what we need to do for those questions, we can just send it privately, and our experts can return your answers to Miss Sherry. So maraming salamat. At this point, I'd like to thank again all the participants and of course our experts, Ms. Ruby and Dr. Maria. Maraming salamat for the input.
Thank you po.
And now
Thank
I'll
you.
give the floor back to Ms. Sherry. Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Reg.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.